Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya, and we are here at Open Infrastructure Summit in Denver, Colorado. And today we have with us Jason Van der Schyff. You are VP of Operations at SoftIron.
That's right.
So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah. If you look at the summit itself, what has been your experience so far?
I mean, it's day 2 of the summit. Great turnout. We had a flat packed day yesterday. Lots of people coming by the booth. Lots of interest. Great to see the community back in Denver, and really, continuing to thrive.
So, what are the things that people who are visiting your booth are interested in what you're doing?
Yeah. So obviously, the history of the Open Infra Summit is from the OpenStack community. We built an appliance that's dedicated for Ceph. Ceph and OpenStack really developed at about the same time, and Ceph is used as about 90% of all storage inside OpenStack deployments. And really, it's the first time that people are seeing a dedicated Ceph appliance. Generically, hardware is being used from the regular vendors, white box solutions, and this is really the first time that people are able to see a lot of different offerings. We're a young company. Our product range is slowly growing, that we can now fit into a lot of different applications to support not only OpenStack environments, but also things like persistent storage underneath Kubernetes. And as this ecosystem is growing, we're starting to see that really flourish.
When you talk about appliance, what does it really mean? Because you have a software component, which is open source, and then you have hardware component. So can you talk about a bit?
So when we talk about an appliance, we really mean it's specialized hardware that we build ourselves, completely from scratch. We actually manufacture it ourselves in California.
So we're talking about the hardware components.
The hardware component, yeah. So we have a pick and place assembly line, and we do all of final assembly in our own facility. And then we optimize it to run Ceph. But the Ceph component is really just the same as everyone else is running. We don't do anything special to it. We don't touch it in any way. It's really important to maintain that protocol so it can fit in existing Ceph environments.
Right.
It's really about having those two pieces work in harmony. We think that generic hardware isn't the best way to run Ceph. The beauty of Ceph is you can run it on anything. You could run it on a toaster if it could run Linux, right? That's the beautiful thing about it. At this point though, if you really want your storage to perform, you don't want it to run on a bunch of toasters. You want it to run on the best possible thing that it can. And that's really what we've spent time trying to grow out. And our CEO says the only thing that matters in life are results. And what we're now starting to see is there are results there where head-to-head against generic software, or generic hardware rather, it is performing better.
Do you pick and choose right components, or you also do some tweaking, fine-tuning of hardware component as well? Number 3, there are 3 parts question. Can customers choose their own components, or no, you make the decision that this is the best performance you will get from Ceph?
Yeah, so I'll start with number 3, which is, from a customer's perspective, we want them to think about it as a black box. We spend our efforts and our research time literally choosing every component down to the pieces of silicon that we run from a networking perspective, a compute perspective. We spend a lot of time on media and making sure that media is tuned to work incredibly well with our hardware. And we just want to make it easy for someone buying a hyperdrive that you don't have to worry about hardware, because the irony, I think, is about software-defined storage is the hardware really matters, but it shouldn't matter to the person running the estate. They just want it to run as fast as it possibly can to handle their workload, and we're taking that burden on to make sure that piece of hardware can really do it and only do that one job. A generic server was built to do many things. This is just built for storage.
Who are your typical customers who are buying your black boxes?
So we're seeing a lot of early traction inside universities and research institutes. Ceph started as a university project. It got adopted by academia very quickly, and some of the largest estates are running inside universities. The thing that we see is there's a move from siloed departments running their own storage to a shift inside central IT, where they're now managing lots of different types of storage. And Ceph is a perfect Swiss Army knife to be able to replace legacy file storage or object storage into a single solution that can cover all of those, block, file, and object. And we've coupled that with a few additional products to make it very easy to create NFS shares, iSCSI shares. So for the users inside the university or the research location, everything just looks the same. They don't need to know that it's running on Ceph. It just looks like a map drive. And so we're seeing traction there. Genomics is a huge focus point for us. Massive data sets, lots of storage requirements. And again, Ceph's a very nice, flexible solution. You can have some SSDs for really fast access, and you can have some spinning disks for sort of your more archival requirements.
You mentioned earlier that you don't touch Ceph at all. You keep it. So there are a lot of benefits. First of all, you don't create your own technical debt. By forking the project or making a lot of changes. Then, but when it comes to your customers, when they buy your appliance, what kind of support they can expect from you? Does it go beyond hardware? Do you also help them with Ceph, or they are on their own?
Well, that's really the proposition, is that we are the one throat to choke. So, the utopia of open source software and generic hardware is great right until things go wrong. And then inevitably, both vendors start pointing at each other saying, well, it's a hardware problem or it's a software problem. We have a single 1-800 number. You can call us and we'll fix the problem, whether it's OS, the Ceph itself, or the hardware. Whether it's a simple drive failure that you just need to change, or it's something more in depth with configuration. And we do a lot of on-site deliveries to help that.
And which OS, is there any default OS, or customers can choose their own OS?
So we call it SoftIron Linux. We made the decision to build our own distribution off, it's basically a Debian core. And we are able to pass on cost savings to customers by providing that. And we're also able to reduce a lot of the overhead inside an OS because it's only built for our hardware, and then we manage that.
That also means that you do have technical expertise in Debian, the kernel, and Ceph itself. So you have your own internal developer community?
We do, yeah.
So does that mean that you also engage with Debian community and Ceph community and contribute code?
We have a whole team that is working on all the open source aspects, both Ceph and Debian. We're a founding member of the Ceph Foundation, alongside people like Intel and China Telecom and some huge organizations, which is a massive privilege for us as a small company. We do contribute upstream just as we come across things. We're actively touching the software, so we're able to spot bugs and little fixes, and as we maybe run across those, we have an ARM64 architecture as well, which has meant that that's a little bit different. It's been a process getting things up and running, and we've found little pieces here and there that could be optimized more for ARM architecture. And we have contributed those. And within our team, we've got guys who've been involved in open source software and distribution management for a long time. One of our lead developers wrote a fair bit of the USB stack for Linux. And it's sort of at the core of the company that's really been there.
So you are one of the good citizens of the open source world.
Yeah, we're trying to build something together, and we're trying to make Ceph as best as it possibly can.
Right.
And as that happens and we're able to find places to optimize it, we're actively going to return that into the community.
So Jason, we have been talking about hardcore technology. Let's lighten the mood for a second.
Sure.
What do you do in your free time? What are your hobbies?
So I'm a very avid sailor. I live in San Francisco, which is great for sailing. I grew up in Perth in Western Australia, which there's a lot of wind there. So I spent a lot of time in little dinghies and through my childhood. Unfortunately, don't get to do it as much as I'd like. But when I can, I get the opportunity to get out there on the water and love it.
How do you keep up with your hobby when you travel for events like these?
So it's really difficult.
So do you have a backup hobby?
I do, but it's not any easier. I'm an avid scuba diver, have been
Because,
forever. So
it's even more difficult.
It's even more difficult. So unfortunately.
So you're the fourth person that is into scuba diving, and who his friend and I know, Linus Torvalds, he does scuba diving. Dirk Honda from VMware. Boris Rensky from Mirantis, he's also into. So we should make a scuba diving club.
Absolutely.
And we should conduct those interviews underwater.
That'd be terrific. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually, I know the guys that have the habitat in Florida. Maybe we should do something down there one day.
Excellent. So once again, Jason, thanks for talking to us today, and hopefully we'll see you again at the next conference.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.